This is WFYI News Now. It's November 17th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, President Donald Trump takes to social media to voice his displeasure with Indiana Republicans over redistricting plans. One Indiana senator that won't back the redistricting plan gets swatted after Trump's social post. And Indiana may remove the ability for people to change gender on state-issued IDs.
You're passing a message to Hoosiers that are trans saying, no, you don't matter. You don't need to be safe. You don't need to be housed. You don't need to be alive.
Those stories coming up, but first. Indiana senators will not be convening in December to address calls for redistricting. As Ben Thorpe reports, Senate President Pro Tem Roger Bray says the decision was made because there was not enough votes to support the effort.
The announcement comes after months of pressure from President Donald Trump to redraw maps to favor Republicans. Several Republican senators have voiced their opposition to redistricting in the last week. Governor Mike Braun responded to the Senate's decision by urging lawmakers to convene. Braun said in a statement, quote, "Our state senators need to do the right thing and show up to vote for fair maps," end quote. Organization Day, the largely ceremonial start to the session, is this Tuesday. The Senate plans to reconvene on January 5th. I'm Ben Thorpe.
President Donald Trump is taking aim at Republican Governor Mike Braun after state Senate leaders said they won't support Trump's push to redraw Indiana's congressional map. Eric Weddle has more.
Last week, Indiana State Senate leader Rod Bray said his caucus doesn't have the votes to consider new maps. Trump blasted Bray and Senator Greg Good on social media and said he was very disappointed they won't back his plan to revisit the state's congressional districts. Trump also criticized Governor Braun for not securing the votes and claimed Braun only became governor because of his endorsement. Trump urged that Republicans who oppose redistricting should be primaried. Republicans hold 7 of the state's 9 U.S. House seats. I'm Eric Weddle.
Indiana lawmakers are set to meet Tuesday for the ceremonial start to the 2026 legislative session. Hours after President Trump blasted Senator Good on social media, the Terre Haute Republican says he and his family were victims of a hoax domestic violence emergency call. A fake communication was sent to local law enforcement. Vigo County Sheriff's deputies responded to Good's home and found the call was swatting, where police are forced to respond to threatening calls that turn out to be intentionally false. On social media, Good asked for civility. In a statement, he said, quote, "While the entire incident is unfortunate and reflective of the volatile nature of our current political environment, I give thanks to God that my family and I are okay." And for our final story today, Indiana may remove the ability for people to change gender on state-issued IDs. Zach Castle reports the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles held its last public hearing on the issue Friday.
The state has had a legal process to change gender on IDs for years. The BMV proposed the rule to comply with an executive order issued by Governor Mike Braun. Over 75 people showed up, urging the state to reject the proposed change. The speakers included parents of transgender children and transgender Hoosiers. They overwhelmingly support the community. Dianya Dior Valentina is transgender and an advocate.
You're passing a message to Hoosiers that are trans saying, no, you don't matter. You don't need to be safe. You don't need to be housed. You don't need to be alive.
Over 1,600 pages of written comments opposing the measure were submitted this summer. In a statement, the DMV says the timeline for a decision will be up to the discretion of Braun and the Attorney General's office. I'm Zach Castle.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.